There are couples who look perfect from the outside, couples who seem to glide through life with ease. They smile in photographs, they laugh together at dinner parties, holding hands in the grocery store. Nothing in the world can touch them, right? But then there are couples who need to look perfect, but are not. This particular story might sound familiar. Though the names have been changed, possibly, you be the judge. If this does ring a bell to you, go ahead and put in the comments who you think this is. Go ahead and do that, and let's see if you could figure out this story, if it is true or not true. But before you do that, please subscribe, like, share, and comment. And now, let's see how the world touched this particular couple. Because there are couples who build their image like a shield, because the truth underneath is too fragile to expose. You see, this story begins with a couple just like that. It was a quiet neighborhood. The lawns were cut just right. It was a particular season, so there were holiday decorations everywhere. Everybody liked this couple. The husband seemed charming. A wife who people adored. When people described them, they said, wow, they're like a storybook. Others would say, they're solid. The couple everyone wanted to be. But people only see what they're shown, and they don't notice the cracks. And behind the closed doors, there were cracks that were already forming. Now, to make the story more flowing, we're going to give these characters names until you tell us in the comments who you think they are. So Mariah Hale was the kind of woman who carried the emotional weight of the relationship. She was the planner, the organizer, the one who remembered birthdays, anniversaries, and little things that make a home feel alive. Some would say maybe she was a type A. Now, her husband, Evan Hale, he was the opposite. He was distant in ways that didn't look like a distance. He was charming in ways that didn't look or feel like he was not connected, but was connected. He was always present in the room, meaning easy to talk to when you did speak to him. But the one area he was absent was in his relationship. So when you're in a relationship and it's starting to fade, you heard me say Evan was now becoming absent. How many relationships have you been in where you felt yourself, maybe not intentionally, but the love wasn't there anymore? So you've done things to distance yourself. So there's your first red flag. And Mariah is picking up on this, but you think maybe we could fix the relationship. But first, Evan has to talk to me. Only Evan feels he's taking a back seat in the relationship. He feels as though he has a better purpose. Not that there wasn't love, but that I could do better. Now, could it be that he felt he took a back seat to this relationship? Could he feel or know that because of his easygoing demeanor, that he was a type B? No one questioned these things, because when a couple looks perfect, people assume they are. But perfection is a mask. We see masks on people all the time. Who are you even exactly? What faces do you put on just to connect with people? And when do you take yours off? And when you do take it off, are you responsive in a way that is aggressive, controlling, or passive and distancing? Let's find out with these cracks in the frame. because it started small in their case, and it always does. A forgotten date, a missed call, where were you? A strange shift in the tone. I'm not taking this right now. Oh, but you are. You see, a new habit of staying late at work says something. A phone that never left the pocket and is face down, so you can't see it. It says something. And Mariah noticed. Of course she did. She wasn't naive and she wasn't blind. She was simply hopeful. Hope is a powerful thing with us all. We all want to have the perfect relationship. We know there's going to be ups and downs and speed bumps. But hope can also be a trap. You see, Evan began withdrawing emotionally long before he withdrew physically. He stopped engaging in conversations, literally would look elsewhere or walk out of the room. Stopped asking about her day, particularly when she wasn't feeling good due to health situations. So she stopped connecting because she knew she had to feel what she was feeling. And even though she wasn't feeling connected and the rituals had changed, she tried not to question. And then she would question because, after all, emotions make us who we are. So she did ask, is something wrong? And he said the same thing that, in this case, every man says when he's halfway out the door. I'm just tired. But does tired make you secretive? Does it make you cold? Does it make you rewrite your entire routine? Or is there something deeper that was happening? And guess what? Have you figured on it yet? So here's Evan. There's a part of him that feels like I can do better, but he now feels trapped. And Mariah, she feels and finds new purpose beyond Evan, even though she wants to keep the relationship, even though there's clear and evident red flags, but she now has purpose because she feels within herself a bundle of joy. The figuring is, what's next when someone detaches from you? Is it that I want out and there's nothing that's going to make me feel better but getting away from you? Or is there someone that tickled your fancy enough that made you feel, I am needed, I am wanted, and I have purpose, that there is interest after this person? And maybe, just maybe, for all the times I was taking the back seat and being a type B personality, that someone actually sees me as a type A. And that person came into the form of a woman named Sabrina. Now, Sabrina wasn't the villain. You see her as the other woman, but that doesn't necessarily make her the villain. You might say, well, it makes her the cause, which then in turn makes her a symptom. But could there have been things that were said to her to make her think that there was a different situation entirely? You see, she was meeting her needs too. And so when Evan came into her life, she felt exactly what Evan was feeling. I might actually have someone that makes me feel certain. Sure as heck, Evan was saying the same thing. And being new, it presented variety. And we both value each other because it is new. And so lovemaking was state of the world. And we can feel now that we have this connection, maybe we can grow. And if we grow, maybe we can contribute to one another. But what has to happen to make us a reality? So when these needs aren't met in a relationship, people look elsewhere, just as these two did. And Evan didn't fall in love with Sabrina, but he did fall in love with the version of himself. When he was around her, it was exactly what he wanted to feel. And unfortunately with Mariah, he felt exposed, seen, known, and that terrified him, because I'm not the man I was meant to be. But with Sabrina, I feel admiration. She looks up to me. I'm a man. I'm desired. And I'm important. It wasn't love. It was significance. It was variety and escape. All of his needs were being met. See, because people don't fall for people. They fall for the state that that person associated with them creates with them. And Sabrina made him feel alive. Mariah made him feel not so well. Accountable, if you will. You need to this. I'm your wife. Start acting like a husband. And accountability is something Evan Hale had been running from his entire life. So if we were to unravel this mystery, you have to remember, affairs, as much as we think, don't start with lust. They start with unmet needs. And I want you to feel about that. Think about your relationship, your 6 human needs, as discussed in just a second ago. I feel a sense of stability. I feel a sense of variety. I know I'm valued. And when I'm valued and I meet those 3, I can feel love. And if I could feel love, I can feel growth. And if I get growth, I can contribute. Well, it wasn't love. It was these needs that were being met for Evan. And he told himself this because repetition is the mother of all skills. So the more you repeat something, the more you start to feel it, and the more you start to believe it. And Evan convinced himself he was in love with Sabrina. But what he really loved was the relief from his own guilt, the guilt of being responsible. And he told himself stories because that's what you do. You justify, rationalize, and you reframe the reality to protect his ego. Remember, you can't fix what you refuse to acknowledge. And Evan refused to acknowledge anything. That's how he got away with it. He let himself believe something else, and he told himself, Mariah just doesn't understand me. The marriage is already over. We're just roommates. I deserve happiness. And he told himself Sabrina was his soulmate. And there's no I in team, but he sure created it as if this was Team Evan. But the truth was simpler. He was a man who didn't know how to confront his own emptiness. And when a man like that feels cornered, he doesn't walk away. He implodes. So he reached his breaking point. And there are moments in life where everything converges. You think that you can outmaneuver everyone, that they see the mask you want them to see. No one can see my lies, how you trip up, how you stutter, how you pause. No one can see the guilt in your face when you're bending forward with your neck as if you're praying, really submitting to your guilt. No one can see the fear in your eyes when you do something that is questioned. No one can see the fantasy or the reality. These were those moments for Evan. He really was drinking his own Kool-Aid. And in those moments, people make decisions they could never undo. Now, we won't describe what happened next, but I'm wondering if you already have an idea of where this is going and who this is. Go ahead and put into the comments, because so far, these are your clues. And unfortunately, maybe this is the one clue you needed, because one person paid the ultimate price and everyone else paid in their own way. But one, unfortunately, paid the ultimate price. And it's shaken the community. It shattered a family. The truth was buried beneath layers and waves of denial, deception, and self-preservation. And Evan Hale, the man at the center of it all, did what men like him always do. He denied everything. And the people in the circle, they believed him. They loved him. They couldn't imagine that he was having another life. So he denied everything. Calmly, convincingly, covertly. The kind that hides behind the charm, behind interviews from everyone and everywhere and around the globe. The kind that says, I would never do something like that. But guilt has a weight, doesn't it? And even when it's hidden, you can feel it. So would this be revealed? Would this be found out? What makes people do things in reference to the ultimate betrayal? Why do we do it? Why not just leave? What's at stake? Is it money? Is it my house? I bought this house, but I did buy it with the intention that we were going to be together, but it just didn't work out that way. Yeah. What needs were you not meeting? And does that justify what you've done or what you're going to do? As they say, was the juice worth the squeeze? So the reveal and the big question is, in the end, the truth didn't come from Evan. It came from patterns when investigated that everything was pointing to him. The people who believed him started not believing him because his patterns just were inconsistent. His psychology was cold and raw, and the unmet needs of being there during this time of pain and suffering and the emotional unraveling. It wasn't until the affair that was built on fantasy came into fruition. The denial built on fear of how is this going to affect me broke the fantasy. And this tragedy that was built on selfishness was starting to come undone, because this wasn't a story about a crime. It was a story about a man who mistook lust for love, who mistook attention for connection, who mistook escape for freedom. A man who couldn't face himself, so he destroyed everything around him. And to this day, even though he found this place on this time over the holidays, in the waves of violence around the world, he created his own wave. And he created a fantasy world with someone else that found him out and unraveled him, only to be seen the true monster of creating the ultimate sacrifice for someone who loved him. And even though to this day he denies his involvement, he denies his choices, and he denies the truth. But what happened? Denial doesn't erase the consequences. And the consequences don't care about the denial, because in the end, one person paid the ultimate price and everyone else was a victim as well, because they're paying still in their own way. Now, we can't go into the details of the ultimate price, but I think you have an idea. All right, so if you are struggling still at finding out who the characters were that this crime is actually about, there's one last clue in the last picture there showing the newspaper headline. But be aware for yourself of a Machiavellian. A Machiavellian, if you don't know already, which I'm sure you do, but is a person who knows how to manipulate, particularly the people that they are closest to, because they really already pulled the wool over you and they already demonstrated that their narcissistic ways are what they're about. Even though it comes off in a way like, I'm here to help you and you can always count on me, there's always a backstory with them. So look out for those red flags. But I hope you enjoyed this story, this podcast. Please, once again, subscribe, like, share, and comment. It has been going a long way. Thank you for the growth. Thank you so much. Some of you yet have not subscribed. And please help the growth of this podcast, because it does help people when you get these clues in reference to life, relationships, and so far. So again, please, subscribe, like, share, and comment. And until the next time, have a great day or evening, wherever you may be.